Okay, so today I'm going to explain to you my part 2 of programming. So I'll just go over the changes I made. So in the recipe class I have a attribute of called recipe name, getters and setters, and I have a generic list, first ones of object type ingredient of the ingredient class, and the other ones of type string called steps. So here's the ingredient class with our previous attributes and the getters and setters, and with the new added one, calories and food group getters and setters. So then in our app class we instantiate another generic list of object type recipe of the recipe class, and then we will have these delegates and events, which I'll come back to and explain when we get there. So if we go to the add recipe, the user is now prompted to enter a name for the recipe, where they'll enter obviously their name for the recipe, and it will be stored in the recipe name of the recipe class. And then other changes are they're prompted to enter a number of calories for the ingredient, and a quick explanation of what a calorie is, and then they'll obviously enter the calorie amount. They also prompted to select the food group for the ingredient that it belongs to, and these are the different 7 type food groups. So they'll enter a number that corresponds to the food group, which will then enter this if else statement. Depending on what they enter, the food group variable will be assigned to one of the following based on what they entered. And if they don't enter anything, it'll just be n/a not applicable. Then we create a ingredient object for each ingredient, and then it's added to the ingredient list from the recipe class. And obviously then once it's all done, once they entered everything, it's added to the recipe list, and then the calculate calories method is executed, which is below. So it's a integer method, so you must return an int called calculate calories, which takes arguments of a recipe. So we have this int total calories variable, which has a sum method that adds all the values in the list and is stored obviously in the total calories variable. It also uses a lambda function that points to the calories property in the ingredient class. So it adds all the values of the calories from the ingredient class, and it gets stored in the total calories variable. So then if the total calories are obviously more than 300, this message will be executed, and if it doesn't, it will just return the total calories. And then we also have the display message method called notify calorie exceeded, which takes in obviously a string, and then obviously it just adds some color and then outputs the message. So I'll go up and explain to the delegates. So we define here we define a delegate that takes a message argument, a string of type string called calorie notification, and then we have this on calorie limit exceeded, which is a event declared as a what I call calorie notification delegate. And then we have here's our constructor of public app, it's the constructor of the class. So this on calorie limit exceeded event gets executed, and then when it gets executed, then the notify calorie limit exceeded method gets called. So when the event is executed, the method will be called. And I think that's about the display method. So here we have a sorted recipes variable. It's declared as var, which obviously I think it's called implicitly typed, if I remember correctly. So it doesn't have a type. It's not either int or string. It can be anything basically. That's what it does. And then obviously we have the order by method, which sorts the recipe names in the list. by alphabetical order, and then obviously it's stored in the sorted recipes variable. And then we just have for loops to display all the recipes to the user, and then obviously it takes the input of the recipe they want to display, and then it enters this if statement, and then it finds all the properties related to the recipe, and then displays it here with the colors. And then we also display the total calories for each for the recipe they selected. So then if it's less than or equal to 300, it displays the amount, and obviously a message saying like this is a healthy intake of calories for the recipe. And then obviously if it's more than 300, this if statement gets executed, and then with the message of this is an unhealthy intake of calories for the recipe, which can lead to weight gain. And then there's probably some slight changes in the other method, which are just syntax, because I changed from a array list to a generic list, but there wasn't really big changes there. So it was just changing from array list to a generic, all the syntax stuff or what. So then we have our unit test here. We declare classes of ingredient, recipe with attributes name, calories, recipe name, and a generic list of type ingredient. And then here's our first test, which checks if let's go to the method first. So here's the calculate calories method, same as the one in our program class. So we're going to be testing it. So the first one is if the calories are below the limit. So we populate it with a name and the calorie amount, so it's 50 or 30, and it's added to the recipe object. Then we create a variable, an expected calorie variable, which is 80, and then our actual calorie variable, which takes the calculate calories with the recipe passed into it, which is obviously 50 plus 30, which will be 80. So then we have an assert that equals to check if our expected calories is the same as our actual calories, and assert false, which will call the event trigger, which is false. And then we have the checks if the calories are equal to the limit, so it's the same thing as the previous method, just the values are changed and it's not more than 300, so the same thing gets done. So obviously our assert equals and assert false checks if the expected calories is the same as the actual calorie one. And then we have so this is when the calculate calories is exceeded 300. So we input the values of 200, 150, which is obviously 350, which is more than 300. We have our expected calories variable, and then the actual one, same as before. Then we assert equal to make sure that they are same, and then assert true, which calls the event triggered. And then obviously it checks another assert equals to checks if the message, because since it's over 300, a message will be outputted. So I copy and pasted the message here, so it checks if the message is the same with the event message. And that's it. So I'll quickly just show the unit test running, and then I'll show the program. Okay, it's running. Why didn't it run? Oh wait. Normally it says 3 pass. I'll just do it again, but it does work. Both succeed. Yeah, 3 tests found, 3 passed. Yeah. Okay, all of it passed. So now I'll quickly do a program thing. So I'll just go over the new stuff, obviously. So we're gonna enter a recipe. We call this cake. Number of ingredients, we'll give it 2. A name of ingredient, we'll say milk. Quantity 2, let's just say teaspoon, which is weird, but whatever. And then for this one, we'll say 100 calories, and then it belongs to a food group. Let me make this bigger. Belongs to a food group, which is milk, obviously, so it'll be 5. And then we enter our name of the second ingredient. We'll say, since we're making a cake, say let's say strawberry. And then quantity of it, we'll say 2, and then measurement teaspoon, very weird, but whatever. And then let's give it, let's say 150. So it shouldn't execute it wouldn't be more than 300, so no message will be displayed. And then let's just obviously vegetables, what would it be? Fruits, obviously, because strawberry is a fruit. And then we just say steps, mix milk with strawberry. What I call, let's say, put in oven. And then let's enter another recipe where the calorie count is more than 300. Enter a recipe, let's say cookie. Number of ingredients 2. Chocolate. Let's say 1 teaspoon, and then the calories will be 200. And chocolate will belong to I don't know what it will belong to, but it doesn't matter, so we'll just say 3. Then our second one will be I think it's, let's just say dough, whatever, it doesn't matter. 3, another teaspoon, and then we'll say this is 250 calories, and we'll just say starchy food. And then steps, we'll just do 1 step. Mix chocolate with dough. Okay, there. The message, the delegates executed the event, and this warning will appear to notify the user that their recipe is more than 300 calories. So then we'll go to the display, and it should be in alphabetical order. So obviously they both start with C, so then it will obviously go to the second letter, which is A and O, and then obviously cake is alphabetically first. So we'll display cake first, and then outputs recipe cake, ingredients, all of it, calories, and steps with the descriptions. And then we also have the total calories in the recipe is 250, which adds them up. And then this is a healthy intake of calories for the recipe. And then let's just quickly display the cookie one. So the cookie one, yeah, same thing as the other one, just the calorie is different. We also get the warning again, the total calories of the recipe exceeds 300, and obviously the total is 450, and then that message gets executed. This is an unhealthy intake of calories for the recipe, which can lead to weight gain. So I think that's about it for part 2. So hope it's good. Thank you.